Bardock has to believe one more time. Hey guys, MasakoX here. Today, we're going to be capping off one of our boldest stories in the What If universe here on this channel, simply for the fact that everything initially took place before Dragon Ball even happened. Well, at least the Dragon Ball that we knew of, which would now not really get past Z in terms of its difference because it's just changed so much. Much more of it took place in space, with Namek not even getting a look in at all. It was all about the likes of Bardock, the favourite rogue character of many of you lot out there, who got short shrift in his own special simply for the fact that people didn't believe his ramblings about Freeza being a bad guy, and then it turns out that Freeza was a bad guy. The Emperor not favouring monkeys? Perish the thought. The poor boy had flipped, plain and simple. Well, today, we are going to round off the story about what might have happened had Bardock's warnings not been met with derision, but instead with some sort of sincerity. The Saiyans, or at least some of them, those with some kind of common sense and half a brain at least, thought that maybe, hey, I kind of like the idea of living, let's do what Bardock says. So yeah, we ask you, for the final time, what if Bardock convinced the Saiyans? Well, the initial premise was that he basically was able to gather a clutch of Saiyans from that cantina, and they escaped to a far-off planet in which to rebuild and then mount an attack against Frieza in revenge for wiping out their homeworld, Planet Vegeta. And for those wondering, we are following the Bardock Father of Goku storyline mostly, with a little sprinkling of minus, Guineas around, with a surprise cameo from Vegeta's mother, which we did take creative license with because you never see her, but she does exist, and that's in the form of Queen Cassava. And yes, cassava is a type of vegetable, it's like a tuber, look it up. From there, Bardock met up with our dragon team, and together they managed to get a fair ways into disrupting Frieza's empire. That is until Nappa shows up! In the last part, we saw the best laid plans of Saiyan's Go Tango uniform. And the reason? Well, Frieza discovered the powers of the Zenkai boost, and that resulted in Nappa getting the similar sort of treatment that the likes of Togoma got in Dragon Ball Super. Basically, Frieza doing all sorts of shenanigans to not have to get his hands dirty, gaming the system. The Berserk Nappa, not to be confused with Super Saiyan Berserker Nappa from our other series, basically took out a good chunk of Saiyans before Bardock had to call retreat, and thusly stopped the challenge to the communications center of the Frieza Empire. Had they been successful, they would have critically fractured the way that the Empire was run, and thusly caused it to run amok due to the fact it was so big, like with the Ottomans back in the day. However, Nappa was too big for our Saiyans to handle, and this left Bardock open to attack. Not from him, but from Vegeta. Vegeta, as you may know in this story, has not really been relying on Bardock as being a true leader, despite his mother believing in Bardock the believable the whole time. Ages, Vegeta had waited for him to slip up and fail, and this was the kind of thing for him to then mount a new charge with, and then show the rest of the Saiyans what he can do to get back at Frieza's dirty trick of using one of their own against them. Vegeta was trying to usurp the lead. So with the Saiyans retreating to now a safe distance, Frieza almost allowing them to suffer the shame of a crushing defeat just to be spiteful, he has done his homework somewhat. Morale has gone the opposite direction from what it was just a few hours ago. Instead of an all-time high, it's now an all-time low. Was this too early? Did they anticipate Nappa would turn on them? How did he get so strong? Vegeta knows. And it's because of this mystery and uncertainty when the prince decides to make his mark. Vegeta, once he's recovered enough, goes to Bardock and tells him that he wants to lead the next charge. Bardock is looking nonplussed. Next charge? There is no next charge. Half the Saiyans were wiped out by their former ally. That is the ultimate insult that Frieza could have used against them. How can they come back from this? Frieza had exploited their own assets in an ironic twist. Vegeta is disgusted by Bardock's lack of initiative and just cowardice. I can't believe it. You're really going to give up now? We are so close to tearing this empire apart, and you want to quit? You really don't get it, do you? Frieza has forgotten one thing. Bardock looks to Vegeta with little enthusiasm. What's that? He doesn't think that we'd respond in kind. Vegeta has no choice but to subject himself to what Nappa had seen under Frieza. He's not thrilled about this, but The remaining Saiyans need a hero and someone to take charge, and clearly, right now, Bardock isn't willing to undertake such an endeavor. Vegeta leaves to begin his ordeal. Doctors at the ready. His training will be harder than anyone had ever seen. And then word gets around, and soon the Saiyans start to shun Bardock and instead look to Vegeta for their salvation and survival. The only person that doesn't buy into this at all is the prince's mother, Cassava. She can see right through what her son's doing. She comes to Bardock and gives her thoughts. I always thought Vegeta was a loose cannon, but this just proves it. He's willing to endanger his own body and mind to get stronger. Well, that doesn't matter, Your Majesty. He's got the will of the people. That's what he's wanted ever since he got here. Well, he can have it. I'm done. Cassava sits down by Bardock and looks serious. You forget your place, Bardock. Who was the one to get us here? This close to beating Frieza. My husband? You've done more for the Saiyan race than anyone in our history. You gave us a new lease of life, and for that, I thank you. As the only member of the royal bloodline with any common sense at the moment. Bardock thinks for a moment, and Cassava lets him do so. The two share a moment. Vegeta gathers all his resolve and demands that the strongest Saiyans left in the Saiyan ranks join him in this training regimen. With their attention on him, a lot of them accept this, and they aid Vegeta in getting hurt and then recovering. This goes on for many weeks, the Saiyans still surprised that Frieza has allowed them to do this. And speaking of Frieza, the Emperor oversaw the whole thing going down on Frieza Planet 315 with Nappa obliterating them and was absolutely over the moon. The monkey lucky had done it. He had broken the morale of the Saiyans and they will now be powerless to counter. And if they do, he can just send Nappa back in there and clean up the mess even further. What a time to be a ruler of this galaxy. Frieza doesn't have to do anything. He could just kick back and wait it out. He doesn't think that the Saiyans will be able to beat Nappa. Not now. He had gamed their quirk with no hesitation. It was fun. One day, Vegeta, who has now become riddled with scars and welts from all of the damage inflicted on him, walks up to Bardock, the latter looking relatively dejected. And the prince is all swaggering with all of this newfound confidence in the universe, stating that he wants to take the soldiers back to Planet 315 to finish the job. Bardock lets him do it, and requests, though, to come along with him. Vegeta scoffs at this, but allows it. It's quaint. Huh, your pride must be clouding your judgment. Sir, you think you can do better than I? You've not been keeping an eye on me, have you? I'm more powerful than any Saiyan alive. Your spawn has seen it, and felt it. Bardock's eyes open up and he grasps Vegeta's armor. If you've heard my voice, I swear! Yellow sparks issuing from his fists. Oh, good! That got you going. Use that fire, Bardock, if you want to get out of this alive. And so, the ship returns to Planet 315 with Frieza ready, as is Nappa. However, instead of a band of foolish monkeys, loads of mooks, there's just 4. Vegeta, Bardock, Raditz, and Goku. My, I didn't expect Nappa to have been so thorough. The rest of them must have abandoned you lot. You must be delusional to think that you can do better than Nappa here. Nappa is then summoned to the same entrance where they last met months ago, thinking that the same result is just going to befall these fools. But nope. Vegeta steps forward, powering up, which causes Frieza's scouter to go bonkers. The power that the prince is now exuding is incredible. Nappa, who can't sense energy right now because his mind is so clouded, and he was also never taught, wades in and tries to swat his former master out of the way, but he is met by a hand and then a smile. Not this time, Nappa. I'm sorry for what is about to befall you. You never asked for this. Vegeta gut punches Nappa before unleashing a barrage of punches and leaving Nappa utterly winded and heaving on the ground. The Berserk Saiyan looks up, eyes bulging, confused as to what happened. He then looks up to Frieza up above, who just stares back with nothing but cold detachment. He means nothing to him. All alone, Nappa has no choice but to try and fight back, but he can't. He tries to counter Vegeta, but the prince hurls him back down, him fighting fire with fire. Nappa is back on the floor again. Nappa, Listen to me. Don't let Frieza control you. You are a Saiyan. Act like one. Do us proud. Nappa looks to Vegeta with wide eyes before turning back to Frieza again, this time with purpose. The big guy stands up without averting his gaze and launches himself at Frieza. The Emperor just stands there, fires a death beam in Nappa's direction, piercing his heart and sending the body crashing to the ground, leaving a massive crater and a motionless body. Vegeta looks solemn, not surprised at Frieza's action. He was no more use to him, but at least he passed like a Saiyan. I'm sorry, Nappa. Frieza then does what to him was unthinkable and flies down to meet Vegeta, getting stuck in. Well done, Vegeta. You managed to best my pet monkey. I would congratulate you, but you're not done yet. You thought that fool was strong. Well, prepare to see true strength. Frieza then powers up to his second form, a form that resembles his father, King Cold. Vegeta can sense that his power is now getting more equal to this form. Goku and Raditz respond, with Bardock right behind. The four of them fight second form Frieza for a while, before Frieza then resorts to his third and then final form. The final form is enough to shake the Saiyans to the bone. The power is far more than they could have ever anticipated. Are you done? I know I am. Be on your way, monkeys. We have no more business here. Frieza turns to walk away, before Goku and Raditz leap forward to try and pin him down. But the two of them are mortally injured by a tail whip and a swift gut punch before anyone could understand what happened. Bardock is horrified. He can feel his son's life ebbing away, all of this from just one hit respectively. How can they stop Frieza now? The same yellow sparks from earlier take over him, and he shouts to Frieza, You! You will not hurt my children anymore! What's that? Your children? Why didn't you say so? I would have hit them harder. Bardock lets out a roar, and his hair turns golden, catching Vegeta by surprise. Bardock has seemingly transformed into the legendary Super Saiyan of legend, surpassing Vegeta's power by miles and besting Frieza's 50% power. But Frieza can't sense the true scope of this strength. Goku and Raditz can, though, and they see their father burning yellow, and they smile whilst trying to keep it together. Bardock surges forward and slams Frieza down. Vegeta is taken aback at this sudden power, but then decides to join in the fray however he can. This is more like it! This is what I wanted to see from you! You are acting like a true leader, Bardock! All the resentment that Vegeta had has vanished. The sight of the legendary Super Saiyan right before his very eyes, right next to him, had made Vegeta suddenly forgive Bardock for all of his previous cowardice. No coward can become a Super Saiyan. This is a true Saiyan leader. Frieza doesn't understand what's going on. He's in his final form, and this should surely be enough to stop anything that's alive in the universe. Surely these monkeys... Bardock is relentless, beating Frieza down before grabbing his head and bringing him in close. Bardock then activates a final spirit cannon, that move from the Bardock special that he tried to do, and uses it on Frieza, while still holding onto his head. Frieza feels his life drain forth, his body thrashing about, before going limp. It is over, indeed. Bardock drops Frieza and turns to Vegeta and then his sons. Vegeta, get them back to the ship. I'll take care of things here. As Vegeta takes the boys back, he turns around to see the ground burn before him. The planet 315 is left in ashes, the Empire fragmented, without a leader. It's done. They had achieved the impossible. The Frieza Empire had been mortally damaged. There was no way it could be brought back together fast enough for the rest of the Saiyans to then just suddenly pick apart the remnants. When Bardock returns, he is exhausted and barely able to stand. But he's proved himself. He heads to the medical bay of the main Saiyan craft and sees his boys, barely alive, but in good hands. They will live. Vegeta looks to Bardock and bows discreetly before leaving the room, and Cassava enters. No words are said, just steadfast nods and a rubbing of Cassava's stomach. And that's where we're going to be leaving things. So what did you guys think? Was this a fitting way to end this adventure? Do you feel that this gave Bardock the swan song that he deserved? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you. Before you go, truly celebrate the culmination of this what if with a brand new line of merch dedicated to the believable one. Go to masako.cc/believe and get yourself this design by Grim Luminary on a shirt, a poster, or whatever you like, as well as the new Space Warrior insignia, which is bundled with this design, as just a simple crest. Thank you everyone, and let us celebrate the believable one.